Besides, mister.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am BorderWise and welcome back to From the Depths Most Wanted. And today we are covering what is possibly the most annoying craft in the Lightning Hoods faction, the Terawatt. Now what is the Terawatt, and if you haven't run into this thing yet, I hope your innocence is preserved for as long as possible. In fact, I hope it is preserved up until the point that particle cannons get a hard counter, because that's the main annoyance of this thing. It has packs, and there's nothing you can do about it, and it's rather frustrating. But aside from that, it is a large, quite fast, heavily armored water skimmer that is just shy of 300,000 materials, so expensive beast. And I hate this thing. I hate this thing a lot. Whenever I run into it in the campaign, I just wish it did not exist. And as some of you might have seen in my last campaign episode, I take great delight in dealing with this thing in the most cheesy manner possible, because quite frankly, anything that has a particle cannon attached to it doesn't deserve mercy and doesn't deserve a fair fight, in my book. And I would suggest you do the same, because fair fights against particle cannons is really expensive in terms of repairs, because you can't stop the damn things. Ah! Okay. Right, so what is there to fear about this thing? Well, I've mentioned particle cannons already. It's got two of them. This one is this is kind of the meta for particle cannons at the moment. These things are set to piercing, and there's 8, what do you call these things? I literally just looked this up. Particle accelerator lenses. So 8 mini firing pieces for the particle beams. And yeah, so it essentially fires a shotgun of unstoppable little nanoparticles that pass straight through armor, ignore shields, and are hit scanned so you can't dodge them. So that's annoying. And then, if that's not enough, it has another one right here. So these ones in the front here aren't immensely strong by particle cannon standards. You can make them a lot stronger than this. About 10,000 damage. 15 armor piercing, which is pretty strong already, again. But this one is worse. This one right here, oh for crying out loud, this is 120,000 damage. This goes straight through heavy armor. It is very, very irritating, and the only downside is that it uses 300,000 battery charge per shot, which is huge. You might notice that this thing has about 15,000... What is that? That's 100... No, it's 153,000 battery charge, which is absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, 2 unstoppable pack turrets, and it only gets worse from there, really. That's not the only thing it's armed with. It has lasers all over it. It has these not super accurate broadsiding lasers right here, which, by the way, are on internal turrets. So they can fire not quite straight up, but pretty close. It has these other broadsiding lasers, which can fire in an almost complete 180-degree arc. Same one over here. And it has torpedoes underneath. I've skipped ahead. It has this laser right in the front, which is a big field of fire. Is for some reason less accurate than the ones on the side here, despite having more focusing optics. And that's about it for lasers. It also has, as I was just about to say, it has pretty standard EMP explosive torpedoes down here in the bottom, so submarines are not safe. Well, they're not safe anyway, because particle cannons ignore water as well, which is immensely frustrating. It has these simple lasers, 3 of them actually, so 3 times 4 simple laser turrets, which are... I was about to say they're pretty ugly, but they've got some ERA on them. It's okay, it's okay. And it also has about 60 of these little miniature cruise missiles, which are about, well, one of the few things about this craft which I kind of like, and I've stolen the idea of. So the premise is quite simple. It's a small little missile one fuel tank, but a variable thruster set to quite a low thrust per second, which means that they have quite a long range. Because target prediction guidance, they can catch reasonably fast targets, and the damage is pretty crap. Fragment cone angle is set reasonably high, but it's only got one frag warhead, so individually these missiles essentially just scratch the paint on most vehicles. However, it fires 60 of them at once, so that is quite an impressive missile swarm, actually. So yeah, that's pretty much it for its armament. And moving on to defense. This thing has LAMS nodes all over it. It's not a super powerful LAMS, so to demonstrate that, I will show you... where's my favorite missile spitting thing? It's a drone, and it's called the Hornet's Nest. So over here, this angle isn't ideal for the LAMS to fire either. So from behind, not a super good LAM system. However, it works quite well when the thing is moving, because that gives the LAM systems a lot more time to pop incoming missiles. In fact, the Terawatt's almost outpacing this particular missile barrage right here. Almost, but not quite. So yeah, that's well, despite my best efforts, I've gone off script. I'm covering already how to kill the thing. Okay, repair, 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 repair. So, yeah, the LAM system isn't amazing, but it is there, and it will pop incoming missiles, particularly on the front. It has a lot on the front, I should mention, so maybe if I turned this thing around and gave it another go with those Hornet's Nests, it would do a lot better. I'm not going to. We're on a time budget right here. And it has PIDs on it. You'll notice it's being kept up out of the water by a whole bunch of propellers. And it's got hydrofoils, particularly in the nose. It has a lot of hydrofoils. So it has some in here, it has a lot more internally, and it has, I think, some more scattered just in the side of it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, we should be able to see them. Not really. Kind of thought there'd be more on the side. Guess that's what the propellers... No, here they are, here they are. You see here? You see here, here's a lot more hydrofoils, right in the bottom. And that's to keep this thing up out of the water, mainly so that custom jet right in the back can do its job. And also it means that this thing is not easy to sink. The propellers keep it up out of the water, the hydrofoils keep it up out of the water. So unless you manage to disable both, or just straight up disable the entire bleeding craft, you are not going to sink this thing. It is not going to happen. Sorry to say that. And mentioned that, and mentioned that. It also, you might notice this hazy hell that's happening right here. This thing has triple layered shielding, so advanced cannons, I know, you can't get lazy with your advanced cannons when you're trying to fight this thing. It helps to know what you're dealing with. They are hugging it quite close, and these are reasonably strong shields as well. That mostly aesthetic shield, like on top of this missile rack right here, that is strength 3. So you can imagine how strong the rest of them are going to be. Oh, I turned it yellow. Yay! So this bad boy over here, this is strength 3. That is strength 3. It is essentially covered with strength 3 shields, which makes sense because strength 1 shields probably wouldn't do the trick considering how fast this thing moves. And by the way, at the moment, there was a wee change to the way that shields work in the game, and something to do with they're more forgiving about the impact angle or something like that. But what that means is that I think the update was meant to make them stronger in the face of advanced cannons. It did the opposite. Shields are really crap. It is very noticeable now. They don't do their job properly. So for now at least, like anything with shields is going to do a lot worse than it otherwise would against anything with advanced cannons. Just a little side note, hopefully that'll get fixed reasonably soon, or not. Who knows when the shield update is happening. But in any case, triple layered shielding. I totally was meant to color these shields so you can see what the hell's going on. So, go here, and go here. More so, I think. There we go. Boom, and apply to all. Okay, so now we're in this hazy green hell, and the thing looks like... I don't know. It looks a little bit like a green, poorly rendered dinosaur. And you can tell by the shield arrangement that this thing is meant to charge at things head on, because there are gaps in the shield in the... well, here. Actually, no, there's no gaps. I hate how hard shields are sometimes. But shooting at this straight on, you have 1, potentially 2, 3, 4 layers of shielding right here, and you've got this gap in the middle here. And on the sides you have 1, 2... only 2 layers here. Sweet. Actually, wait. Yep, so double layered shielding there, but up here, 1, 2, 3 layers of shielding around the superstructure. So, this is a well-shielded craft. You are definitely not going to get away with just using kinetic rounds. And you are definitely not going to get away with just using fragmentation rounds. That's not going to work. Where was I? I've mentioned that as well. See, I always read my freaking Crypt notes out of order when doing these things. So, it has pretty darn powerful engines. You can see in the stats right down there. It has 120,600 regular engine power, and I think that's either an electric engine or a steam engine it has in there that's providing about 84,000 more power. So I'm going to do this, and you'll see that most of this thing is made up of engine, as tends to be the case with Lightning Hood's craft. It has a lot of steam engines. The whole underside of it is made up of steam engines, and these are electric steam engines. What? Are these electric steam engines? Okay, yeah, so these are all providing power for batteries for the particle cannons to fire, which makes sense, because aforementioned 300,000 energy per shot. This thing is a hungry, hungry beast. And what isn't steam engines is regular injector engines. So these are enormous engines, and that is for all the shields and all the lasers and all that stuff. Monstrously big engines, highly inefficient. So if you want to build your own craft like this, don't use engines like this. It is deliberately not efficient. And you'll notice that this thing is eating through fuel right now, and it's just standing still. It's not doing anything even, and it's just powering through the fuel. I'm going off script again. So, I've mentioned, so it has very strong engines, it's got a lot of nasty armament, kind of an all-rounder, and it's not enough that it's fast and like heavily armed, it's actually got pretty decent armor on it as well, especially, like in certain areas it is quite well armored indeed. I forgot to turn the shields off. You, sir, be invisible, please. Invisible. Invisibilus. I remember Harry Potter. Okay, so you see here, just near the back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers of metal. Already, this is pretty freaking thick. Right at the waterline here, and this is pretty consistent. In fact, when it comes to around here, along most of this thing's length, there's a layer of heavy armor behind that as well. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers of armor, expertly placed so you can have very high armor value. So in fact, I'm going to use the new debug tool. So this metal beam right here has armor class of roughly 41, 42, and I believe, yep, this is one that one's just behind an air gap. So there, 1, so there, AC of that one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this metal beam has about 75 armor. So shooting at the waterline of this craft is a bit of a futile effort, and even in its thinnest place, it has 1, 2 layers of metal. So heavily armored, well shielded, and quite fast as well. This thing is just annoying. It just does everything. And so what else? What else? Particularly around the custom jet here, this is solid heavy armor and multiple layers of it as well. It's not easy to knock out the propulsion of this thing. And I should have mentioned before, this is a big custom jet. The easiest way to knock this custom jet out is actually to hit it like right on the deck itself. So around here, there's just one layer of metal between the outside world and this custom jet, so hitting the rear of it from above is not going to help. Although there is a door here, which is a beautiful, beautiful explosion window now that I look at it. Yeah. And that's not the only annoying thing about this. This craft deliberately moves in a way that is annoying to fight. So if I can find the AI... Where would it be? I'm trying to... See, this is the kind of thing I should have done a lot earlier, is try and find where the AI is, because I have no idea. If I was an annoying person, I would put it somewhere in the front. Like right here, for instance. That's not it. How dare you? Here we have the wireless snooper and all that jazz. Where are you? I want to kill you. Well, not yet. I want to examine your body. And then I want to kill you. And it will be glorious. Aha! Here we go. So here's the main one. It has a naval AI. And the angle is set... The range is quite short. So this thing charges straight at something. And then turns to about 84 degrees. And then runs away. The broadside range is like very short as well. These are very close. So it drives towards the target, it gets close, pops off a few particle cannon shots, and just lets the craft have it with simple lasers and regular lasers and missiles and all that stuff, and then it runs away. And because it moves so fast, it kind of drives in a very big circle in a constant turn, which means that it dodges an awful lot of shots, because at the moment, the way the AI aims in this game, it can't predict curving movement. It can only predict straight lines, which is tremendously frustrating. So, if you want to shoot this thing, you need fast shells, and also counterintuitively, you also need to get quite close. Thankfully, the thing will oblige you in that and driving close itself, and it's quite cunning actually when this thing... I say this thing way too often actually, so when this craft drives up into something, it comes straight forward, it's firing away with its particle cannons and these three lasers in the front, then it turns, particle cannons still can get an angle, this laser still gets an angle, these things join in the fray, and then when it turns away, the simple lasers just deliver a parting insult, so it's quite an elegant way of fighting really, just all the weapons kind of pull their weight, and I hate it to bits, tremendously. And... what the hell? Oh yeah, the last thing, and this makes it... oh yeah, should quickly mention, has missile countermeasures just to complement the lambs. Quite a nice little indent for them as well, very pretty. Have I mentioned this thing looks pretty swag in my fleet colours? I just like how grey and evil it looks. But in any case, it has rudimentary smoke, which makes it quite unusual by the standards of a lightning goods craft. I didn't mean to do that. There we go. And do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it has smoke somewhere around here. I'm still not entirely sure where it has smoke. It's, aha, all along its length here. So actually quite a lot of smoke. Which means that you can't just rely completely on lasers to deal with this craft. It helps, like lasers do better against this thing than... there I go saying thing again. Lasers do better against this craft than a lot of other weapons, but still, this thing is smoked up reasonably well, and all these important engines right here, is well smoked. And I think there's probably more smoke somewhere around here. Actually, I don't see any, it just has smoke along its length. So there you have it, this thing is got really good firepower, it's fast, it's got good defense, but what are its weaknesses? Well, as I probably already showed you, Wait, I can't remember if I showed you that. Let's show you again. So what's something that has an absolutely stupid missile barrage?
Turning off.
Which way are you facing?
Receiving.
Let us have you facing
now.
this way. And have you doing that. So as many of your LAMS nodes are pointing forward as possible, and then we are going to spawn in one of my favorite ships. And by favorite, I mean I also hate this one. We're going to spawn in the Asphodel. Hopefully... I just remembered the Asphodel has smoke guns on it, so... that is a bit of an issue. Oh dear. It has big smoke, actually. Where the hell? Did it just fling its damn missiles into space? Come on, dude. I'm trying to make a show here. Actually, not the Asphodel. Gosh darn it. Ay. Actually, let's see if these get through. So, the first weakness that I'm trying to show off, and it's not working for me, is that the LAM system on this craft isn't amazing. Like, it could... what the hell? Oh yeah, there's a lot of torpedoes coming in. The LAM system is not amazing. Missile swarms can catch it. So let's... what can we do here? Okay, I'm going to spawn in one of my own missile craft. Because this ain't working, buddies. So I'm going to spawn in this thing right here. I'm going to spawn it like that. I just remember... freaking hell. Please don't smoke. Not yet. So as you can see, not... oh my god. Not an amazing LAM system. Especially when it gets smoked up. And, oh, well, take that, you bastard! So, missile swarms can get through it. It relies as much on speed as its LAMs in order to escape incoming missiles. And countermeasures, which sometimes work, sometimes don't. And one thing on that note is that this is a front-facing craft. It is designed to charge pretty much straight at something, run away, and then come back for another run. I actually thought for the longest time this had an aerial AI in it. Guess it doesn't. 2, 3, 4. You will notice something important about the way the ship is laid out, and that is that the ammunition is all here. It's... I was about to say amidships. I'm not sure if that's the right place to call it. It is just a little bit ahead of the center of mass. It is forward in the ship. So this is not good aim point spoofing because, well, firstly, if you really want shots to miss a lot, you put it at the back of the ship. That's the part of the ship that moves around the most. It's the part least likely to be hit, which is possibly why the custom jet's back there. And having the ammo here, like almost on the center of mass, it's like around here, so to speak. Wait, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Here it is. It's actually sitting very close to this main particle cannon right here, and right behind these broadsiding laser batteries. Hang on, let's turn off caps lock. That's bothering me. Which means that this thing, if you can hit it reliably, and if you have aim point, you can knock out, well, you can essentially saw this thing in half. Which is a bit of a bummer for it, but who cares about the Terawatt's feelings? I don't. So, not good aim point spoofing, could be done better. And you probably would have guessed this by now, really, judging by the size of the engines in there, steam and the other one, fuel engine, that's the one. This thing is a real material hog, so you'll notice how fast the fuel is ticking down, and this thing is just standing still. In fact, let's put a shield controller on it. Dun, dun, dun. Where are you? Yeah, okay. We'll just do this. Actually, no, let's not do that. Wait, shield control. There we go. And so we do that, and the shields are off now, by the way. And well, like, it's still ticking down fuel really quickly, like, and when this thing moves, it just gets worse. So you see how fast the fuel's going now, and that's just because that big thirsty custom jet in the back is going. So one potential tactic is to simply stay out of this thing's reach with a faster craft that can dodge packs and has smoke on it, or laser absorbing shields, and let it run out of juice. And I'm going to turn off the resource supply of the avatar, and you'll see also this thing's not moving anymore, and see how fast in the lower right corner, how fast it's going through materials. So again, if you've got a few hours to kill and you don't mind cheesing it, I unfortunately am not allowed to do that kind of tactic. My doctor prescribed against it for my sanity. You can just essentially run circles around this thing and wait for it to sink right to the bottom of the ocean. So yeah, that's a definite weakness of it. A lot of faction vehicles are deliberately designed with that in mind, because you don't want the player just swarming in faction vehicles and just acing the campaign that way. And one thing is that I've mentioned that the armor is quite good. Like, along the whole hull here, it's just layers of metal backed by heavy armor. The weapon systems are very exposed and very fragile, even with all the shielding. So this laser right here, I didn't really ever notice. Well, partially because it kind of dips under the water, but also because this is really exposed, and there's a nice explosion tunnel going straight into the heart of the ship through there. And same with these laser optics are exposed, highly vulnerable, these ones are exposed, and particle cannons, this is one of the few saving graces of the damn things, is that they are very delicate. So this accelerator lens has health of 100, armor of 4. That is almost nothing. And if we compare that to, say, the barrel of an advanced cannon, that is 350, armor 15. Which means that the barrel of an advanced cannon can take, like, about, I don't even know, like well over 10 times the damage of a particle cannon. You would have seen just a little bit earlier when I was throwing missile swarms at this thing, just how fast this turret was taken off completely. Like, even missiles can absolutely shred these turrets and just tear them straight off. So the turrets are quite delicate. And the fact that there's ammunition right over here on it means that the turrets get shot at quite a lot. Same with these little turrets back here. It's an exposed little 360 turret, very delicate. It does get blown off pretty quickly. Which means that essentially you've got an armored knight with a very flimsy sword. Not sure about that analogy, actually. Moving on. And so yeah, if you can hit this thing, you can at the very least disable it. You can knock its weapons off. And I mentioned before that this thing relies on hydrofoils and PIDs to keep moving. It is a very heavy craft. It needs those quite badly, because if you have a look inside here, there's a lot of metal, there's a lot of heavy armor. This thing is in fact quite top heavy. There's a lot of metal up here in the superstructure. There's a lot of metal up here, and the custom jet back here has a lot of metal armor up here on top, which isn't balanced down here by anything. So it really does rely on hydrofoils and PIDs to stay up in the water, and if it loses engine power and if it stops moving, it will sink. So that's something to keep in mind, is that if you can stop it moving, you can kill it reasonably easily. You can pull it down to the depths, and hopefully it'll never rise from the depths again. Okay, I'll stop. Right, and the thing about the smoke that's on it, so mentioned before, it has smoke. Where is it smoke? Was is you smoke? I want to speak to you, smoke. So smoke is, here we go, so it has quite a bit of smoke. Right here, about in the back half of the ship. This thing moves at about 50 meters per second, which means it tends to leave its own smoke in the dust. Basically, any craft that moves above 40 meters per second tends to leave its own smoke behind, and like even slower craft can easily outpace their own smoke, which means that lasers are still effective against this, and also because the smoke coverage isn't particularly clever. Apologies to whoever built this thing, because the ammunition doesn't get any smoke coverage at all. All the smoke generators are behind it, and both AIs don't have any smoke cover. This one again is ahead of the smoke, and the one over, where is it? Where is it? I knew where it was. I found it. Wait, this one right here, and actually both of them are right on top of each other. How did I miss that? Huh? God dang. So yeah, 1, 2, cool. So in any case, these. What am I saying? Oh yeah, so it doesn't have good smoke coverage, so laser it to death. I think that is a deliberately designed thing now I think about it, because can you imagine if the lightning hoods had really good defense against lasers? That'd be bloody impossible. You'd be left with no choice but to use particle cannons against them, and we want to avoid that, don't we? And on the last note is that it's got pretty good armor down here on the hull. Superstructure? Not so much. If you hit this thing from the very top, you get straight to the juicy bits reasonably quickly. So, on the top here, this is one layer of metal on this turret. Can kill that reasonably straightforward. And I was about to say that, but meh. Never mind that one. It's a superstructure. Might not have really good armor, but there's nothing important in there anyway, so never mind. Okay, so moving on to how do you survive this thing? This thing's coming at you like a bat out of hell. How do you live through it? Well, as I've mentioned before, particle cannons are overpowered horseradish. So the best defense I've found is to either get directly above it or directly below it, because that way at least you don't have to worry about the particle cannon shooting you. The other defense is redundancy, so whatever systems you have on the ship, make sure you've got more than one of them and your ship can run just fine when a lot of its bits are missing, because these particle cannons, these piercing particle cannons, they don't care about shields, they don't care about armor, unless you have multiple layers of heavy armor, which this one in the back doesn't care about either, I should mention. It's like, do I need to go over again how powerful this one is? So just more of everything, just make sure everything is compartmentalized, and you have spares of everything on your ship. Failing that, get right over it, and I will demonstrate that right now. Hopefully the gods of FTD don't do me in for cheesing life. So if I spawn a Terawatt right here, I am going to be a naughty, naughty boy. And I'm going to spawn an orbital bomber right over the top of it. And what the hell am I doing? What the hell? This is something I can't remember if I've shown this off before. This is a orbital smart bomber, and which I'm quite fond of. It is made of cheese. You are going to hell if you use this thing. So be warned. It is rather mean. So if you have something right over the top of it, lasers are still an issue, but the particle cannons can't do anything. In particular, these smart bombs do really good against this kind of craft because they hit it from the top. And with the incoming missile update, the Gruss is going to get a lot nastier. Unfortunately, the lasers do put a bit damper on using this particular craft against it. But you know what? What are you going to do? Should mention as well that from behind, this thing is considerably less dangerous. How's the Gruss doing? Gruss is doing fine. Oh, she's beautiful. Look at her. Wow. So that is about 2% health knocked off in one pass by a craft about less than half the cost of this vehicle. And I should mention as well, being in space is a good defense against missiles because missiles can't turn in space. Where's the Gruss? Come on, one more pass. One more pass for okay, never mind. That's taking too long. Right, so get right over the top of it. You should be safe from the particle cannons. And for the missiles, which are conveniently still flying around, they're not a huge problem. If you have good radar decoys, you have a good LAM system, you have a good anti-missile cannon, or if you have a craft that moves very fast, you should be able to escape them. They're not a real problem. Have smoke dispensers for the lasers, and for the torpedoes, use your torpedo defense. Have torpedo interceptors, such as the ones I'm very fond of, or just fly. That works pretty well, actually. Which brings us onward to my favorite bit of this whole thing, which is how do you kill it? And I've already kind of dropped a hint here or there how you kill this thing, but specific weapon systems for them is that missile swarms tend to do a pretty good job. So, actually, let us do this. So, dun 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 dun. Haven't seen Jurassic World, by the way. Original Jurassic Park? Hell yeah, love that movie. New movies? Nah, not so fond of it. Okay, so missile swarms tend to work a treat. I will demonstrate that right now with my favorite missile spamming ship, which hopefully will survive the particle cannon long enough to get shots off. Of course, this isn't a completely fair test because all my missile-using craft tend to have smoke. See, not smoked up, and that whole swarm manages to get right in, destroys one particle cannon, and almost took out another one. And that one volley took off about 4% health. And if you have a decent lamp system, like right here, works quite well, actually. So yeah, missile swarms, grand idea. We can quickly see down here is that I hate particle cannons. They are bullshit. Look at this nonsense. Look at this horseradish. This is 3 layers, 2 layers of alloy, a layer of stone, backed by heavy armor, straight through and out the other side. And this used to be an ammunition compartment, so, I don't know, particle cannons are just stupid, I hate them. There goes my happy mood. This thing also has no lamps nodes on the back. Worth mentioning. Oh my god, really? Steering, lads, steering. Okay, enough of that. Okay, so missiles can work pretty well against that thing. APS is, well, advanced cannons work well against pretty much everything. Don't use kinetics, don't use frags, so I recommend very heavy high explosive, disruptor, and disruptor rounds to get through the shields, and the usual story of hollow point, high explosive, or HESH, and the aforementioned, there's a coming update that is making heat shells super good, and the new heat shells will do a real number on the Terawatt, because it's a very dense, compact thing, and it doesn't have many air gaps in its armor. So that'll do a real treat against it. I'd show that off, but I'm not in the dev test right now. And let's have a live fire demonstration of what a real good advanced cannon can do against this thing. Hopefully the craft I'm going to spawn in doesn't die immediately due to that pack. I could hate on packs all day, I really could. I do not like them. I do not like them at all. They make me sad. They make me unhappy. So, built-in, NATO, Steel Striders. Come on. Load your bastard. There you go. And we're going to spawn in Steel Striders cover, and oh, hello, there it is, the Khazar. Or Caesar, if you really insist. Funny thing is that Julius Caesar is pronounced Julius Caesar if you really want to speak good Latin. I know not many people do, but you know what? Why not? So if you want ridiculous advanced cannons, this is certainly one. Although it's not doing as well as I kind of thought it would. Oh my god, really? Dude. Dude. Dude, you are embarrassing me. Wow. Not sure how you're managing this, but it's impressive. I can't tell you. Okay, never mind. Oh my god, I didn't even realize that. The Khazar is doing horrible, horrible things to the Terawatt now. Yep, horrible, horrible things. Oh, I think I remember why. I think the Khazar's loaded with heat. Let's finish this fight, eh? Yeah, if you've never run into the Khazar before, and yes, I am gonna keep saying Khazar, thank you. It is essentially a monitor on crack cocaine. This gun in the front here is completely stupid. And it looks like the Terawatt's immobilized. Hello, hello. Yep, it is. It's a custom jet got fried. So I mentioned before, once this thing stops moving, it is dead. It is so, so dead. And see, here's why you don't use kinetics against it, because those triple-layered shields are making a mockery of that. Come on, Khazar, one more there you go. What kind of... Okay, so that looks like... Oh yeah, those are heat shells. Those are heat shells. Those are... Yeah. Well, no, what are they? That's Hesh and heat? You're joking. That is strong. That is very, very strong. Yep, that's heat. That is heat and Hesh by the looks of it. Okay, so you get the idea there. Advanced cannons, no worries there. And moving on to cram cannons. And, as much as I love cram cannons, they are not recommended for dealing with the Terawatt. It moves just slightly too fast, and aforementioned turns in a big circle is rather annoying. So, let's throw something with good crams at it, which, I'm going to indulge in a little bit of egotism and throw my old friend the Naga at it. Let's spawn in a little bit closer. All I know is that you look like you're having fun. Blah, da, 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 da. Watch out, here I come. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Naga can beat the Terawatt one-on-one, by the way. It's just not pretty. And if that cram volley gets anywhere near... Oh, there we go. Ah! So I've mentioned before, you do have to get close, because otherwise that happens. God, that's loud. I should mention as well, the Terawatt, because it gets in so close like that, it has a very bad habit of colliding with things. Yeah, so crams can do a number on it, but only if they hit. That is way too loud. Okay, that's enough. That is enough. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, 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 ay. Wow, I've been talking a long time. Okay, and last but not least, lasers. Now, I'm not going to talk about particle cannons, they work on everything. So, lasers do a real treat against the Terawatt. As I've probably demonstrated multiple times in my campaign playthrough, the Terawatt outpaces its own smoke, and, well, it just doesn't have good laser defense. Like, full stop. So, way over here, and I'm going to be a naughty, naughty person and spawn my lasercraft way the hell over here, because if you are going to use lasers against this thing, keep your distance as much as possible, because what that means is that you will be out of the range of that stupid particle cannon, which is really nice. So I'm probably going to leave you watching these guys tear the Terawatt a new one, because that'll be fantastic. So there go the lasers. And see, if you managed to see how close those particle cannon shots got to shredding this thing entirely, well done, because they got very close. Now let's see the Terawatt. And we'll see over here, if we go have a looky-see, this thing should be starting to vent smoke. It's not venting smoke. What is this? Ay, ay, ay. Oh my god, the frame rate. Yep, there it goes. It's venting smoke, and you can see it's leaving a lovely trail behind it that is not helping it survive this laser onslaught at all, really. It is, however, clipping blocks off the Wadjet, which is making me less happy. Slowly but surely. And you can see it is quite suffering quite heavily. There's a lot of armor around the ammo, but it is going to lose it quite soon. Because we started so far out, we are currently picking it to death bit by bit. So if you are cleverer than me and you have a well-armored craft armed with lasers, you're going to really do a number on that. And see here, shooting down here, I think it's going to get into the steam engines very soon. Yep, and I believe... Yep, the main particle cannon has been disabled already, which makes this thing a lot easier to deal with, so it's just what I said. This thing's weapons are easier to take off if you know how to hit it. And even at that distance, you see how much attenuation there was? Most of those particle cannon shots did not hit, so keep your distance, if nothing else. I could watch this all day. Watch this stupid thing get taken apart. And you can see here, it is starting to sink slightly. And I believe that is because it's starting to lose engine power. So the lasers have managed to get in all the way through here. Incidentally, if you didn't know already, lasers laugh at armor. All this armor right here, build a laser right, with a high enough armor penetrating value, like, it does not care about all these layers of metal at all. So you can see here this thing is starting to tilt. Ah no, it righted itself. Righted itself just in time. There we go, there we go, there we go. And I believe right now the AI is at a bit of a risk of being shot to pieces, because, where is it? Yep, it's right here. It is sitting right here. And oh yeah, so the ammo is already gone. That didn't take long at all. Good laser bores in right through there, takes out the ammo. And currently, the Wadjets are doing just fine. This is just me showing off right now, because quite frankly, I hate the Terawatt. And it is AI dead, so there you go then. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and I will see you next time in From the Depths. Most Wanted, go kill a Terawatt for me and tell me how you enjoyed it. Farewell!